the beatings he could take. The smell of vomit he could handle. Even the darkness of the cell did not disturb him unduly. But the rats, at night they came, and he was jerked awake when they began to eat the fungus that had grown between his toes. But even the rats were not the worst part of the experience. Those were the voices. Voices of despair and exclusion. Maybe they came from the pit or from deep within. Voices that threatened to break him in two and shut the door on his life and work. They were so familiar, he gave them names. There was, "It's finished" voice. He could see no good purpose for the gospel that was being served by his isolation in prison. He needed to be witnessing, counseling, serving. Yet here he was, confined. "Let's face it," said the voice. "It's all over. Your ministry is finished." Then there was another voice. He called it, "I'm excluded" voice. "I missed God's way," the voice said. He was in jail for standing up for a point of principle, refusing to allow the government to decide where and how he should worship. Some pastors he knew and respected had cut a deal with the government and were free. Was he really on God's side or just being stubborn? Excluded from the plan and love of God, or finished, unable anymore to do the work of God. Doors slammed shut to ministry, even to salvation itself. And that's why this verse is in the scriptures, especially for the persecuted. "I have set before you an open door, which no one can shut." Not closed doors, open ones, eternally open by the power of God. And that's the great paradox of persecution. God gives an open door to those on whom the doors appear to have shut. There are 7 letters to churches in the book of Revelation. John uses direct speech from Christ. Most of them contain a compliment, a complaint, and a challenge. Of the 7 churches, though, 2 are very persecuted, Smyrna and Philadelphia. And they are the only ones not to receive a complaint, only a compliment. All New Testament churches had 3 dangers that they needed encouraged and strengthened to face. They were to do with behaviors, beliefs, and beasts. Behaviors, inappropriate moral behaviors within the community, damaging the witness. Of the 7 churches, Sardis and Laodicea get a stern warning here. Then beliefs, holding to wrong beliefs and false ideas that were leading faithful people astray. Ephesus, Pergamum, and Thyatira all get a warning here. The first 2 were internal. The third was external. Beasts. That's persecution. Beasts were attacking the church. It's the last of these that is affecting Philadelphia, where we find our verse about the open door. The believers have been dismissed and denigrated by those in what's called the synagogue of Satan, probably hardline Jewish believers who say to the Christians, many of whom would be former Jews, "You are no longer the true children of Abraham. Your new identity is illegitimate. God is not on your side. The temple of salvation, its doors are closed to you now." Well, there's a lot at stake. Social exclusion, salvific exclusion. And the believers are said to feel very powerless and belittled. So to be told by the prophets speaking the very words of Jesus that the opposite is the case, the doors are not shut, but open, that would have carried a powerful, positive charge. Persecution, indeed, often comes because doors have been opened. Nick Ripkin, a teacher who studied this, wrote that the clearest predictor of persecution is response to the gospel. And he even added, quite provocatively, he said, if our goal was to reduce persecution, it's easily done. You simply keep people from coming into relationship with Jesus. So to flip that around, Persecution is usually because people are coming to Christ. The gospel is working. Christ is being exalted. And that's why the persecutors of the world get angry. Because a door has been opened they thought they had shut. Witness, says Ripken, is not about freedom, because we are always free to witness. No one can take that away. Witness is ultimately about obedience. And God opens doors through our witness, even when we're least aware of it, or most discouraged at the apparent lack of it. Do you think the doors have been closed by whatever you're facing? Illness, loss of livelihood, lack of freedom? Put on your revelation visor and see the open door, the door God has opened against all the odds.